Hello again. As you know, I am Eli, the computer guy, and today we're going to be talking about the Icy Dock. What is this thing? The Trayless mobile rack. Now, normally for the main part of the show, I don't talk about like hardware stuff because I don't want it to come off like I'm trying to be like too advertisey, like I've sold out or any of that. But Icy Dock sent me one of these things, and I actually do think this is a really cool tool that we should spend some time on for a lot of different reasons. For things like data recovery, or if you want to use multiple different operating systems on one specific computer, I just think this is a great thing. So basically what this is this is a hot swap rack. So if you normally use like servers, you'll have little hot swappable hard drive trays that you can use. So if a hard drive fails, basically you pop up a latch, you pull out the old hard drive, you unscrew it from the little tray, you screw it back in, you screw the new hard drive into the tray, then you slide that whole thing into the server. Now that works really well in a server environment because you're not going to be swapping out these hard drives very often. Hopefully. If you are swapping out the hard drives very often, it means you're having a very bad day, right? And so having those trays works fine, again, like I say, in a server environment. But when you're doing things like data recovery, or if you want to be able to pull hard drives very quickly and very easily, the trays are a pain in the ass, right? Because you got to pull the tray out, then you got to unscrew the hard drive from the tray, then you got to grab the new hard drive, put that into the tray, screw it into the tray, plug it in. It's like a 5-minute process. Not horrible, but it is a 5-minute process. Now what's cool with this thing though is this is actually trayless, which opens up a lot of possibilities for you in the real server world. So let's go over to my little workbench for a second so I can show you this and show you how awesomely cool this is, so then we can explain why this is important for a real professional. So this is the overall unit. So this is something that you would plug into a normal desktop computer. So if you have a normal tower computer, desktop computer, this would slide into the hole that normally fits your optical drive, right? So basically this is the whole unit, and then it's actually got the hard drive in it. So what's really cool, right, is I can just pull this open, and then look at this. I can then just pull out the hard drive that easily. So no trays, no screws, no nothing. So I can put this down, grab another hard drive, shove it in, and away we go. And it really is. This thing is built very well. I'm very impressed. I've never heard of Icy Dock until they came to me, but all of their stuff is built very well. This is very smooth. This is very nice. You can basically just pull the hard drive in and out and swap hard drives literally that easy. And that is an awesome thing. Now you might be thinking, Eli, okay, well that's kind of cool, but why is it awesome? Why is that geek sexy? Why do you want to just fondle it all night long, Eli? And the reason is because using something like this, especially for things like data recovery, this can make your life so easy. So we used to make a lot of money with data recovery. Data recovery was an awesome upsell, right? Oh, we'll wipe and reload your computer for $99, but oh, we also got to recover the data. That might cost you an extra $200, right? And so basically, most data recovery, at least that you and I are going to do, there's other data recovery, but that's a different deal. Most data recovery, really what it is you pull the hard drive out of the computer that's having the problems, you then plug the hard drive into your data recovery computer, and then you just run scans on it. So depending on what you come up with, you have any number of scans you'll run on the hard drive in order to try to pull the data off. Well, the issue is a lot of times people try to use things like external enclosures, like we try to do that, but that's when you run into the problems with USB. So USB is a horrible interface for trying to do things like data recovery because it's flaky as hell. It doesn't seem flaky. USB does not seem flaky when you're only copying and pasting files, but when you're hammering the hell out of a drive for hours at a time, you'll find that USB has a tendency of dropping. So what's nice with this is you can literally pull the hard drive out of the one computer. You can just walk to your desktop computer, your data recovery computer, come over, plug this thing in, close the door, start running your scans. When you're done, you just pop it out, and you go. This is awesome. So the first thing that this is absolutely fabulous for is data recovery. If you do data recovery operations, take a look at this thing. This thing will make your life a lot easier. The other thing is I keep getting all these dumbass questions about dual booting. I don't know why anybody wants to dual boot anymore. Guys, it's 2014. Stop dual booting, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, dual boot, dual boot, dual boot. How do I dual boot? Why would you want to dual boot? I just don't even get the point of dual booting. So, what is cool, instead of having to worry about dual booting, instead of having to worry about partitions, instead of having to worry about boot managers and all that horse crap, right? You know, hard drives nowadays are incredibly inexpensive. I mean, you could go to Newegg and you can buy probably a terabyte drive for like 50 bucks. So you could buy like 3 or 4 of these, right? So you have your desktop computer and you say, okay, I want to play with Windows 8 today. And you take your Windows 8 hard drive, you slot it in, you boot the computer, it is now a Windows 8 machine. Then you go, you know, I really want to play with the latest version of Ubuntu. So you pop out the Windows 8 hard drive, you grab your Ubuntu hard drive, you slot it in, and now your computer is an Ubuntu computer. So those are the 2 ways that I see this being very, very cool. If you're doing data recovery operations, this is an absolute must. This is absolutely fabulous for data recovery operations. If you're doing the thing, like I say, you're trying to play around with a lot of different operating systems, because I hear that from you guys a lot. You're like, you know, Eli, I want to have 5 computers, but I'm PO. Well, even if you're PO, you can probably get yourself 1 desktop computer, right? So you get yourself 1 desktop computer, you get yourself a few SATA hard drives, and then now all of a sudden you can very easily switch between all the different operating systems. And again, you don't have to worry. And that's the big thing. I mean, when you do go into dual booting, when you do dual booting, you've got to worry about the whole partitions, you've got to worry about the boot manager, you have to worry about one operating system deciding to screw with the other operating system. Again, it can be a pain in the butt. Even when you do virtualization, right? When you're doing virtualization, you have to worry about adapter settings and all that kind of stuff. This is just a very simple way to give you bare metal performance for your operating system. And again, I mean, this is as easy to swap in and out as a USB drive. And it really is. I mean, I want you guys to see how well this thing is built. I mean, I can just do this all day long. So it's really, you know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of this kind of equipment, I really do have to say, is built like crap. I don't know why it's built so horribly. But you can see, I mean, I can just pop this thing in and out. So it's a really, 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 I think it's a great idea. Again, like I say, for data recovery operations, or if you want to do multiple operating systems. But then the question you're going to be coming is, well, Eli, what if I've got SSD drives? I mean, look at that. Eli, obviously it doesn't work. Eli comes on, it's 2014. How am I going to put an SSD drive? And they've actually got a solution for that too, which is kind of really cool. So we go back to the desktop. What I can show you is they've actually got this little SSD cage thing here, right? So if this is your normal hard drive, I can just pop that out, and then I can take this cage that has an SSD in it, and I can just slot it in, and it's as easy to slot in as the normal hard drive. So now this has an SSD. All I have to do then is I can pull it out, and what's cool with this is all toolless. So if I just push this button and pop this up, you can see the solid state drive in here, and literally all I have to do is I can just pull out the SSD drive. If I wanted a different one, I could grab a different one, literally slot it in here. Then all you do is you put that down, you snap that in, you grab this, you slot it in, and there you go. So literally, even with a solid state drive, you could swap out the solid state drive in less time than it would take to unscrew a hard drive from most trays. So this is just a really, really, really good thing. I mean, beyond that with the Icy Dock, I mean, you can see they've got quality on here. So they've got a cooling fan for the hard drive itself, so the hard drive doesn't overheat. They've actually got little shock absorbers in here, so when the computer is getting moved around, it doesn't shake the drive too much. They've got some different power settings and all that kind of stuff. But I really think this really is, again, I will tell you, if you're doing data recovery operations, or if you have one computer and you want to play around with lots of different operating systems, this whole Icy Dock thing is really, 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 again, really cool. Now we go over to the computer just to take a look at this for a second. You can go, and again, all you have to do is you just go to icydock.com, and you can go and you can take a look at all the stuff. One of the things I was surprised about, so I'm looking at this, and again, it's steel, it's metal, it's high quality, you saw, so it's gonna be like, oh, how much is this thing gonna cost? And if we click over here, we're gonna notice it's only 40 bucks. That's cheap. It's a good deal. So this thing is only $40, and if we go over, this is the solid state drive converter. So easy, convert, air, blah, 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 blah. And even with this, you know, $26. I mean, again, for the build quality and everything else, I think that's a pretty good deal. So even if you bought both of these, I mean, you're looking at, you know, $56 or something, which again, you know, in the real tech world, that is absolutely no money. So, so I think these are good things. So if you're doing data recovery operations, if you're screwing around with operating systems and all that kind of stuff, take a look at Icy Dock. Because again, like I say, I normally don't do entire videos on equipment like this because I don't want you guys to think I'm a shill, right? I mean, it's so hard in the YouTube world because you try to show people really cool things and then they think you sell out. It's like, oh, come on. But so I really am careful about that normally. But this really, I mean, if I was a consultant again, I would buy a lot of these. It really was, well, because like when I was a consultant, that's what you have to think about. Like with data recovery is a great upsell. And so, but data recovery takes a long time, right? You know, data recovery, especially with these large hard drives, you know, you're talking about anywhere from 5 hours to 30 hours, right? And so we actually had multiple data recovery computers. So we had like 5 data recovery computers at any one time. And I would buy one of these things for 5 of them. I mean, this is just, oh, this is the kind of stuff when you know you're a real geek. When this makes you really happy, when this makes you excited, you know you're a geek. So yeah, I really like it. It's all of it's really good build quality. And the nice part is, again, you plug this in, you're gonna get the straight SATA interface speed. So again, if you use USB, if you use something else in order to connect your hard drives, you're gonna get that crappy ass internet interface speed. This gives you the full I/O performance of actually having the drive plugged directly into the computer, because in fact it is plugged directly into the computer. So yeah, so there is, I don't know, I just think this is cool. It is cool. And I mean, like I say, the build quality is absolutely awesome on this. And even like I say, this tray is really nice because it's got little holes or whatever, so you could use this in a different computer. But simply being able to pull an SSD drive into or out of a tray like this that easily, I mean, that's a really nice thing. So if you're doing the computer repair work, if you're doing the server work, if you're doing any of that, definitely take a look at Icy Dock, ICYDOCK, FCC compliance. Truly, they haven't paid me a dime. They gave me a few of their products to do reviews on to take a look at, but that's it. But it really is. I have to say, if I was a consultant again, I would definitely be buying these things because they, like I say, for data recovery, it's just a great deal, I would argue. So yeah, so there you go. That's the video for today. Take it, leave it. I think this is a very cool product. So yeah. Spiceworks.com. These guys have the free network management software, the free mobile device management software, the free community with millions of users. So if you're an IT professional and you need support, Spiceworks is a great place to go. All of their stuff is basically free and just an absolutely great thing. Again, if you have any questions that I don't answer in the show that are technical in nature, you know, we're talking about Active Directory synchronization between sites in remote areas. If you click on the link below this video, that will take you to the Spiceworks community. They have millions of users there that will be able to help you out. So take a look at spiceworks.com. Plixer.com. Plixer deals with NetFlow analytics software. So NetFlow is a component of Cisco equipment that shows you what's going on at the network layer, what devices are talking to what other devices, what kind of network jitter, all of that kind of stuff. So Plixer has a free piece of software called Scrutinizer. Scrutinizer is a free NetFlow network traffic analysis tool. So if you want to play around with NetFlow, if you want to see what's going on with the network layer and you have Cisco equipment, take a look at Plixer.com. Click on the link below this video. It'll bring you to this page where you can download Scrutinizer, the free NetFlow network traffic analysis tool. Veeam.com, Veeam.com. If you just virtualized 100 servers and now you're trying to figure out how to back them up, they have solutions for ESXi, they have solutions for Hyper-V, and as you guys like, they have free stuff. So if you are dealing with a virtualized environment and you're trying to figure out a backup solution, take a look at Veeam.com. nerdswecanfixthat.com. If you're thinking about starting your own computer services company, but you don't want to have to worry about coming up with a logo and copyright and trademark and all of those kinds of things, you may think about buying into a computer services franchise system. Nerds We Can Fix That is a computer services franchise system. They have 62 franchises throughout the United States. They can franchise in every state other than Hawaii. They also franchise internationally. If you're thinking about starting your own computer services company, you should contact them, fill out the information below, or give them a call. Again, as I will say, franchise systems are great for a lot of people, not so good for others. Always make sure to do your due diligence, but if you're thinking about starting a computer services company anyway, you might as well contact Nerds We Can Fix That to see what they have to say. Adaxes.com. If you're dealing with Active Directory on a large scale, so you have hundreds of users to add, hundreds of users to disable, so on and so forth, you may want to take a look at Adaxes.com. This is Active Directory management and automation software. So this tries to automate and simplify the Active Directory workflow. So if you are in a large-scale Active Directory infrastructure, take a look at Adaxes.com. Total Seminars, TotalSim.com. If you're looking for your A+, your Net+, your Security Plus certification, they have video training, practice test, exam vouchers, and more. If you are on the CompTIA track and you are looking for study prep material, study guides, that type of thing, take a look at Total Seminars, TotalSim.com, TotalSem.com. Altero.com, Altaro.com. If you're dealing with virtualization in a Hyper-V environment, so we're talking about Windows Server 2008 R2, 2012, and 2012 R2, take a look at Altero.com. They have a number of Hyper-V backup solutions. They have the free version, which will back up to 2 VMs for free forever. They also have the unlimited version, starting at only $400 per host. I think this is a very good value. So if you are dealing with Hyper-V virtualization and you need a backup solution, take a look at Altero.com. So the review item today again comes from Icy Dock. This is their Icy Bento MB559U 3S-1S. So this is an external enclosure, which doesn't seem like that big a deal until we start to take a look at it a little bit. And it's a pretty cool thing. So what this is you put your hard drive into this, and then it's an enclosure for your hard drive. So then you can connect it with either eSATA or USB 3 connection to your computer, and basically use this as an external hard drive. But I really like this Icy Dock for a lot of reasons. Let's go over to my little workbench or whatever so I can kind of show you what's going on. So this is the external enclosure, and if you look at it, it seems like a pretty normal external enclosure. Now, one of the things I like with it is it's actually built really well. So a lot of these external enclosures are honestly kind of built worth of crap. So I used to buy a lot of external enclosures when I did data recovery for my clients, and a lot of the external enclosures were just garbage. I mean, they worked, but otherwise they were pretty horrible. The nice thing with this is it feels good, it's nice and heavy, it's got a good paint job on it, it looks nice, it feels solid, you don't have any issues. But what's cool about this is that you can actually get to the hard drive simply from the top or from the front of it. So most of these external enclosures, you have to pull out screws and you have to do all kinds of a construction project in order to get to the hard drive. With this, all you do is you push this button, you pull this lever up, and then you slide out the hard drive tray. So this is basically just like a normal hot swappable hard drive tray. You would take out this middle bit and then put your hard drive in here. But then once you put your hard drive in there, all you do is you slide it back in, close it up, and away you go. So this is great for like data recovery operations, or if you want to use multiple hard drives using your external enclosure. It's just a good thing. And this is one of those things I haven't seen around before. Other companies may do it. I personally have not seen this, and I think it's a pretty good deal. So if we do this, everything works. I mean, you can see it all slots in very nicely. Everything works very well. And again, even without this cool little front loading component, I just have to say this is a very nice external enclosure. Again, I've used a lot of external enclosures out there, and a lot of them are just nasty, horrible. The other cool thing with this, and this is just kind of like one of those neat little features, is so obviously you can set it on the side, but the issue is, if you set it up like this, you're worried it'll fall over. They've actually got this little button back here, and if I push this button, you'll see, ta-da! Little feet pop out. So, I mean, that's just a nice little thing to show you that they've actually gone to some effort to design this thing. They've actually built it pretty well. And overall, it is a pretty spiffy deal. If we go over to the computer, I can show you it on the computer. So if you're interested in this, basically you go to icydock.com, and what you're going to look for is the Icy Bento, and it'll come here and you can take a look at all the information that they give you, all the little buttons, and it's a USB 3.0 or it's an eSATA thing. If we go over, you can see you can buy these things at Newegg, and right now they're about $65, which honestly compared to other enclosures seems expensive, but on the other hand, it's actually a very good quality. Again, like I say, I've used a lot of external enclosures over the years, and one of the most frustrating parts with external enclosures is just they're just piss poor quality. Like even when I've wanted to spend money, they're just crappy as hell. So what I like about this is a nice, solid, good feeling little widget, and I just think that this whole front loading thing is just a great thing. I mean, that's just, I don't know. I just think that is about spiffy as hell. So this is the Icy Bento. What the hell is the name of this thing? It is the Icy Dock Icy Bento MB559U3S-1S, and I give it the thumbs up. Again, the only thing you can complain about this, and I will say, the only thing you complain about, at $65, it does seem a little high. You are, I would argue, getting what you pay for, but, you know, I know a lot of times you guys like the really cheap stuff. But from a build and a quality perspective, though, this is a very good deal, and I will definitely give this one a thumbs up. Icy Dock. So this question comes from Rushad B. Hi Eli, I'm Rushad from India. Very important to remember that there. From India. I am planning to make a website that has menu cards of all the restaurants in my city on it. Something like www.zomato.com. I wanted to know if I'm allowed to take these menus, scan and upload them on my site without any written permission from the restaurants, or is that a copyright infringement? If it is, then what is the legal way to go about doing this? Thanks. Well, here's the question. Here is the big question, right? It all depends on what the hell the laws are in India, right? When we start talking about things like copyright laws, it's very important to understand this, especially in a globalized environment. Copyright law is all based on the local laws. So the United States has copyright laws, the United Kingdom has copyright laws, India has copyright laws, Nepal, it basically doesn't have copyright laws, really. But it all really depends on where you are in the world and what the local laws are. So honestly, I have to say, I literally have no idea. Here in the United States, one of the reasons many of us are successful is a lot of us go kind of by the philosophy of better to ask forgiveness than permission. Like a lot of the things we do here in America comes off as very arrogant and egotistical, blah, 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 blah. But the reality is we kind of get crap done at the end of the day. And so if it was me, if it was Eli Bhagwagar in India, I'd just do it. But that's me, you know, I be American, and we get arrogant and egotistical and all that. So basically, that is what I would say. One, I don't know. You have to figure out what the local copyright laws are. I literally have no idea what the hell they are in India. Two, if it was me, if it was Eli, the Indian guy, I would just do it, because I'd be American though, right? But three, if you really are worried about this, one of the things you should do anyway is just go talk to the restaurants, right? If you're going to be doing a website system, and you are going to be basically promoting, advertising their websites or their restaurants, then I would argue by all means you should go to every restaurant you can possibly go to and personally talk to them. Again, one of the things you have to think about in business, right, is it's all about relationships. It's all about who you know and who knows you, so on and so forth. So I would argue regardless, take the copyright issue out of it. it entirely. And you should be going to as many restaurants as possible and getting permission from them, frankly, even if you don't need it. If it was really me, if it was Eli, the Indian guy, I would go to every single restaurant I could find. I would walk in, I'd say, hey, can I speak to the manager or owner? And go, hi, I am Rushad. I am creating this website with all these different menus on it. Do you mind if I upload your menu to our site? And then away you go, right? Because then they know that you exist, which is a good thing. They may end up promoting you. They may be willing to pay you money, so on and so forth. So I would go talk to everybody regardless. And that's frankly what I would do. So think about that. One way or another, I'd be going on knocking on every restaurant door I could find, and just even for politeness sake, I would simply ask them if I could use their menus and go from there. That is what my opinion would be. The next question comes from the masturbator at prodigy.com. Anyways, how do I dual boot Windows 8.1 and Ubuntu? Why the hell would you want to? How about no? How about no? You should be able to do it. You just have to go through the normal dual boot process. Basically, you would install, what would you probably do? You would install Linux first. You would create a partition for half the drive, install Linux on that. Then you would install Windows 8.1 basically in the other partition, and then you would screw around with the boot manager and to give you the boot options. Theoretically, that is what you could do. If you really want to dual boot between Windows 8.1 and Ubuntu, there should be instructions on it. Now, I will say with 8.1, it is different than the old days. Like Windows 7 and Vista and XP and NT and 98 and all that was dumb simple for doing dual boot. Now that we've gone to the UEFI BIOS and all that kind of stuff, as I understand it, it gets more squirrely. But I would say just go out there and look for instructions. If you really want to do dual boot, just go out and look for instructions. But I would say don't do dual boot. In 2014, I don't understand why you would do dual boot. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I would argue that basically you should do virtualization. Either you install Ubuntu, and then you install VirtualBox and put Windows 8.1 within a virtual machine, or you install Windows 8.1, and then install VirtualBox, and then install Linux as a virtual machine. One way or the other. If you're looking for ease, you went out and you bought a computer at Best Buy and you want to be able to use Linux, then I would say do the Windows 8 way. If you want the best way, probably the most secure way of doing it, I would argue that you do it. You install Linux, then you install VirtualBox, and then you install Windows 8.1 within that virtual image. That is what I would argue. So I would say don't dual boot. That is so 2004. Do go with virtualization. Yeah, that is what I would say. Just don't. Yeah, don't. There should be instructions out there. I mean, it's pretty. It's a paint by numbers thing if you actually do a dual boot. But I don't know why you would do a dual boot anymore. It just doesn't. It doesn't make sense to me. Like what we talked about today with the hot swapping and all that. What I would argue is if you really want to use one machine and use different operating systems on that machine, get a couple of hard drives. And so have Windows 8.1 installed on one hard drive. When you want to use Linux, literally pull that hard drive out and put the Linux one in. That is probably what I would do. But even that's kind of nasty. I would just say stay away from dual boot. Do virtualization if anything, but yeah, just stay away from dual boot. So this question comes from Joe L. I'm setting up a Windows Server 2012 lab network in VirtualBox, even though I am using a domain that I don't own on my Active Directory server. Can I use a domain that I don't own to make a lab email server? If so, is it easy to set up? Can you? If you're asking me this question, let's say no. Here's the deal. Can you? Yes. Should you? No. And if you're asking me, definitely not. So what you have to remember about all things with domain names, right? The entire point of domain names is being able to correlate IP addresses to domain names. So DNS resolution, as it's called. And so the issue is if you set up DNS names, domain names on your local network that correspond to real domain names out in the real world, there is a chance that there's going to be leakage when your computers and servers and all that try to communicate to each other. Some of that traffic maybe get routed out to the internet, where it will then resolve to the IP address that corresponds, you know, EliTheComputerGuy.com or CNN.com, and then your traffic will get routed willy-nilly. Now, this sounds like a security issue or something like that, and it's not. The problem you're going to run into is you're going to run into a lot of weird network errors. The type of things that when you map to a shared drive that works, but when you try to get your email service, that fails out. Like, you're just going to get a lot of weird, nasty stuff unless you really understand how to set up DNS. If you really understand how to set up DNS and you really know how to compartmentalize and basically secure, you know, box up your network, you can do what you're talking about. You could theoretically use EliTheComputerGuy.com and set up an email server and a web server and all that stuff in your internal network, and theoretically it would work a-okay. The problem is for you, it doesn't sound like you know how to do all of that, so that is probably a bad thing. What I would tell you to do is, nowadays, guys, domain names are really inexpensive. Really inexpensive, right? If you buy a .com domain name, it's like $13 a year. But if you go out and you buy like a .tv or a .net or a .mobi or something, you can get domain names for down to like $3 or $4 for an entire year. And that is what I would suggest that you do. Go out, buy the most inexpensive domain name you can find that you can remember, something pretty simple and easy to remember, and then use that for your network, because then you can map all of the DNS settings back to your external IP address, and I think life is going to be a lot easier. So can you use, theoretically, somebody else's domain name when you set up your network and your email servers and all of that in a lab environment? Theoretically, yes, but it's going to cause you just all kinds of pain and a nightmare, and it's not worth it. $4 for a year of some crappy domain name that you actually own will well be worth it. So that is what I would argue. So the final thoughts for today, the final thoughts. And now I'm not trying to start any fanboy flame wars or any of that. I am just giving you something to think about here. Just something for you to chew on in your brain, right? Is something that was interesting that happened to me the other day. So I was sitting there, you know, I have my Android Wear, my little Samsung Gear Live Android watch. I have my Android phone. I have my Apple iPad. I was sitting upstairs on my MacBook Pro doing my work, and I was doing all the stuff. I was doing my project management, and I was doing my text editing. I was doing my email. I was doing all of my stuff, and something hit me, and it was very, very, very profound, and I just want you guys to think about it for a second. While I was sitting there doing my work, I realized that at no time did I miss Windows. So it's a very curious thing. You know, we have all been locked into Windows for a long time, and I was one of the people that was locked into Windows. I had Windows 95, and Windows 98, and Windows NT, and Windows XP, and Windows 7, Windows 8. And you know, for a long time, we have stuck with the Windows operating system, basically because we felt that we had to be stuck with the Windows operating system, especially as somebody like me, being a geek and having to do a lot of technology stuff. It kind of felt like, you know, even if you didn't like what Microsoft was doing, even if you didn't like Windows anymore, you were kind of stuck with it. And it was very interesting to be upstairs the other day, and I was just sitting there, and literally I was doing all of my work, and it wasn't like, you know what I'm saying, I wasn't jury rigging things, I wasn't making do. I was very content just to be up there doing all of my work, doing everything that needs to be done in order for me to make money, literally using nothing that was Microsoft, nothing that is Windows. I don't use Windows anymore. I don't use Outlook anymore. I don't use Word anymore. I don't use any of those Microsoft services or products anymore. And I just thought that was a curious thing for you guys to be thinking about. Because again, you know, there's a lot of times we talk about migrating off of Windows. Like, oh, we need to go with Linux, or oh, we need to go with Mac. But it always feels like there's a trade-off there. It's like, okay, well, we stop using Windows and we go for free Linux, or we go for Mac. But it feels like there's a trade-off. Like I'm losing something by leaving Windows. And so it was just very curious to be upstairs the other day and to realize I don't feel like I'm losing anything by not using Windows. I really, really, really at this point could care less about Windows. So yeah, so that is a curious thing because people have been asking like, what do you think about Windows 9? And it's like, I really don't care. And I'm not even being mad. I'm not even like screaming. I'm not like, Balmer. I'm not screaming about Balmer or anybody else over there. It's just like, I just really, really, truly don't care about Windows anymore. So yeah, so if you're wondering if in fact you can do the migration away from the Microsoft world, I will tell you, apparently you can, because I have done it. And I have to say, I'm pretty happy about it. I'm pretty happy about it all told. So that is the final thought. Yes, people, in fact, real business people can, in fact, leave Microsoft. And it's pretty nice when they do. So geekbraindump.com keeps growing away. I think we're up to like 560, 570 posts now. We've got like 130 authors. Of course, now we have the forum. So more people need to start talking on the forum. So we created this forum for you guys to do discussion, for you guys to sell stuff, to do gigs, get help, all that kind of stuff. We also have the chat now, so you can chat with people. You can do voice and video communications. You can share your desktop. You can share files, do all that kind of stuff. And of course, the meetup is coming soon. Soonish. I'm still trying to figure out exactly how we're going to get this done. So we're up to like 92 members of our meetup. We have 26 people hopefully coming to the first one, and I'm still making all of the plans for that. So if you haven't been to geekbraindump.com, if you haven't taken a look at this, take a look at it, because we're getting a pretty cool community going on here. You can write posts about whatever you want to write posts about. You can talk to fellow geek members, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, geekbraindump.com keeps growing and growing and growing. So if you haven't taken a look at it, definitely take a look at it.